and all the detailed technical information have been available for public review since late January of this year, when the application was deemed complete. The proposed site plan will be displayed on the screens at either side of the stage, and an information sheet is provided at both the back table and at the clerk's table just below the stage here. The purpose of tonight's meeting is to receive oral and/or written submissions. A staff report has not been prepared. For everyone's comfort, we hope to finish by 10:15. At that time, the Community and Development Services Committee, which consists of council members seated at this stage, will deliberate to discuss how to proceed. If there are still people present who wish to speak and have not had an opportunity to do so, the committee can make a motion to set another date to continue this public meeting. If everyone present has had an opportunity to speak to the issue, then the meeting will be called closed, and the committee will consider a motion to set a date for the next public meeting, at which time the planning staff recommendations will be available for comment. Now to the format of the meeting. First, I will ask the Director of Community and Development Services to briefly explain this application. Then, I will ask the applicant to present their proposal, which committee members may ask questions of clarification. Then we will open the floor to public presentations. For those wishing to speak to this matter, you will be asked to proceed to the podium based on the number you were given earlier. I understand we have about 32 requests to speak at this moment. If you don't have a number, please go to the far table where one will be provided to you. Before you address the committee, you are asked to clearly state your name and your address so it can be recorded by the clerk's staff. If you have written notes, we ask that you leave them at the clerk's table just over here following your remarks. The number of the current speaker will be displayed on the side wall right over there, so you'll be able to keep track of your turn at the podium. For those who wish to provide written comments only, please deposit them at the clerk's table. We want everyone to have a fair and equal opportunity to speak tonight. As such, I will be enforcing our standard delegation protocols. In the interest of time and in consideration for everyone's right to speak, we ask that presenters keep their remarks on topic and as brief as possible. Comments should not exceed 10 minutes, although I wish to say that I have talked with the proponent and I'm granting an exception allowing them 15 minutes to present their proposal this evening in light of the fact there are many consultants working on the project. I may request that comments be concluded if a speaker exceeds this time frame. If someone before you has voiced a concern which is the same as yours, please state that and only add something that the committee has not yet heard. Now, we value everyone's input and simply ask that all comments be respectful of others. Any remarks or questions concerning the character or performance of named individuals or groups will be ruled immediately out of order. We also ask audience members who do not have the floor to please refrain from making audible comments or noise. There will be no decisions on the proposal made at tonight's meeting, nor will committee members be commenting on the presentations, except if they have questions of clarification. If you have a question, we would ask that you submit it to the clerk's table right over here. It will be answered either through the staff planning report or at the next public meeting. Please keep in mind that if you do not make an oral submission at a public meeting or provide a written submission to the town of Niagara-on-the-Lake before this matter is formally passed at council, you are not entitled to appeal the decision to the Ontario Municipal Board or take part in any OMB hearing related to this matter. So that being said, I would like to ask the recording secretary to please confirm that proper notice was given to the public as per the Ontario Provincial Planning Act. Thank you. If anyone in attendance wishes further notice, they should give their name and address to the recording secretary. So, I would like to call this public meeting to order. The public meeting this evening is in regards to applications related to the property known municipally as 144 to 176 John Street. With the Director of Community and Development Services, please give a brief explanation of the proposal.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. The application is to amend the official plan for
from an established residential designation to a site-specific general commercial designation. The site-specific land use designation will only allow for limited commercial uses, specifically an inn, an artist studio and gallery, an art/cultural school, and a conference center/banquet facility in conjunction with the inn. The official plan then also proposes to redesignate a northern portion of the lands from established residential and conservation to open space and conservation. The zoning application is to rezone the land from established residential zone to general commercial and open space zones. Both will be site-specific to restrict the permitted uses to an inn, an artist studio and gallery, an arts and cultural school, and a conference/banquet facility. All buildings are to be restricted in height and floor area. Both the official plan and zoning bylaw amendment applications would be specific to only permit the requested uses as noted previously. The proposal also includes a provision of 200 parking spaces to provide parking for the various proposed uses. It is proposed that roughly 180 of the 200 spaces will be underground. Other uses permitted in the general commercial zone are not to be permitted in this site-specific zone.
Thank you very much, Mr. Director. So now I'm hoping that I can ask Mr. Greg Hind to come forward. Mr. Hind representing the applicant and or their agents, and we appreciate you joining us here this evening, and please feel free to proceed whenever you're ready. I should note that the house microphone is the black one.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, Lord Mayor, members of the committee. My name is Greg Lyon, I'm a professional planner with the Cortec Group. With me this evening are the owners of the property, Tricia Romance, Gary Peterson, Doug Fowler. Also with me this evening are part of the project team, architects from Allen and Troy, Michael Allen, David Troy, and Ken Crook.
Mr. Hind, if you speak right into the microphone, that's why I'm holding my right. Yeah, okay, it's very flat.
Yeah, the purpose of, I'll use my speaking notes and have it posted on the two screens. The purpose of the application, Mr. Chairman, was to work with the town in changing the zoning and the official plan for the redevelopment of this 13.3 acre site at the southeast corner of Charlotte John. You saw posted before that the air photo of the site, and that's the site along with the site there, along with the surrounding land uses of Christopher Court and Weatherstone and the Randwood Place comes to the north. The challenge that we had in looking at this site was to determine whether the existing official plan and zoning bylaw were appropriate, were they appropriate in today's environment, Niagara-on-the-Lake, and a challenge that we have for every infill property that we do, not only in Niagara-on-the-Lake but in the province of Ontario. And that's when you repurpose any property in an infill situation, there are a number of issues that surface. In Niagara-on-the-Lake, it's especially a challenge because we have a living community with an awful lot of heritage to protect. And that was our challenge right off the bat. How do we protect the heritage of this site, the environmental values of this site, and a balanced approach to the surrounding land use that I just pointed out. The site itself, it was briefly described by Mr. Walker. The main Grand Manor House was built in 1850, three-story. It's about a little over 18,000 square feet. The Devonian House, which is on the site, was built in 1921. It's 2.5-story and it's 6,840 square feet. There's a coach house, 1.5-story, and it's 2,900 square feet. Some of the other issues that we had to address was we had 1 Mile Creek running in a north-south direction along the western boundary, and it traverses the property in an east-west branch also. The Dunnington Rub landscape, which was started in 1919 and finished in 1924, plays a pivotal role and a very important role on this site, that it's a very historic landscape design, and hasn't been changed to a great degree. What you see there today existed back in 1924, and it has stood the test of time, and it's a credit to the owners who have maintained it. The existing OP is established residential and conservation, as Mr. Walker indicated. Is existing zoning is site-specific for a private school. The interesting thing about the zoning on this site today is that it has a lot coverage of 5%. The existing buildings occupy 3% of this site. So it does have some flexibility and some room for additions and expansion. The other interesting aspect of the zoning on this site is that the side yard and rear yard setbacks are at 1.5 meters. So that means that we could build, or the owners could build, an institutional use, 3 stories, 1.5 meters off the side yard. The side yard, as I indicated to you, has the Brunswick Place on one side, and on the other side has Weatherstone and Christopher Court. This land use that exists on the property, or had existed on the property, has reached its functional obsolescence, Mr. Chairman. I've been involved with this property on and off for almost 30 years. The site has had a variety of reuses, a variety of uses that we've analyzed. To give you some idea, we've had a wine institute application, we've had a seniors residence, we've had a nursing home, we've had a religious seminary. All these uses, when it came to doing a cost-benefit analysis on this site, failed the test. We've had other uses on this site that took place. We've had seasonal residents, permanent residents, the Niagara Institute, the School of Philosophy by Mr. Fons. All these uses, when filtered against the test of today's market and today's land uses, fail. This site has reached a functional obsolescence that we have to look for a better use, a more appropriate use. The constraints to the development that we had to address right off the bat, this is a constraint map that we introduced to our last public meeting, and it's been a driving force with us on how we analyze the site. You see the variety of colors on the site. This dark green area along the creek is the environmental protection area that's outlined in the official plan of the municipality. 3 white areas are designated for residential. These 3 large areas have the potential for residential development or some type of urban type of development. That was constraint 1. Those are 2 constraints. The 3rd constraint is the bill of form. These heritage buildings, 3 of them on site, have to be protected. And any land use that we came up with had to respect those and had to protect them and make sure those heritage values are protected. The other colors along the periphery are the surrounding land uses and the existing vegetation surrounding the property, including the wall along the front. All constraints to development. The creek that I mentioned before runs in an east-west direction like this. It has a north-south direction to traverse the property in north-south direction, and outlets at John Street through a culvert. All these are constraints. We took a look at these constraints and tried to turn them into opportunities. And quite what I mean by that.